Hello, my friends, EEARTS family.
Hi, EEARTS family.
Hope you guys are doing well. So we're going to start over here, and we're going to see that we have a 5.9 quake hits Turkey, leaving at least one person dead and 18 injured. And Turkey, as we talked about before in the past, it is an earthquake-prone place, and a lot of the buildings that we find there are perhaps not up to par, not up to modern code. And so a 5.7, if that hit Japan, for instance, or even like LA, it wouldn't have the effects that it would here. And of course, also it has to do with the structure of the land itself as well, and the type of fault line that we're talking about.
So there's a lot of different things involved to make it different.
Exactly, as we see here, collapsed buildings and cracked roads right down the middle. And you had two aftershocks that were recorded, magnitude 4.6 and 4.7 as well. And we have days of heavy rain triggering deadly flash floods and damage to 250 houses in Ankara. And this is also in Turkey as well. And then meanwhile, also on the global stage, we have Turkey pounding Syria right now. So lots of going on, lots of eyes on Turkey as we, are getting into these crazy times. Rivers of hail damaged neighborhood in Calgary, Canada. So this is mid-June, and look at how icy that looks. And there was also a tornado there as well as the tennis ball size hail.
I know these weather events never cease to amaze me.
And you're going to have a foot of rain in some parts of the East Coast. Basically from mid-Atlantic down into the southeast along the I-95 corridor. So if you're anywhere in that area, be prepared. Of course, that means the Carolinas down to Georgia and Florida as well as Virginia. Some of my favorite places.
I haven't got to visit there yet.
Well, she did see North Carolina.
Briefly.
And a tiny portion of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
But we did cross through Tennessee, and we did go down through, I think, a little bit of Alabama together, and we went through some of Mississippi, and then did we go through Oklahoma? I'm trying to remember which way we went when we came. No, I think we went south, and we went down through Texas and Louisiana that time. But beautiful, beautiful areas. So plastic rain is the new acid rain. And when you're out there and you take a nice deep inhale of fresh air after it just rained, you might be breathing plastics into your lungs.
That makes me so sad. You know that big fulfilling breath that you take, and now it's like plastic.
It's very sad, but it's true. So as this says, hoof it through national parks of the western U.S. like Joshua Tree, Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, all areas that are, not really far from us and beautiful. And take that deep breath of air. Unspoiled lands, collectively a great American conservation story, yet you're breathing in microplastic particles. And who knows what else, really, when you get down to it.
That's just so sad.
This is part of everything that's really wrong with society and the planet and this corporate world. So this is a super cool, quote-unquote, meteor, fireball. Look at the energy around it.
No, to me, it feels more like a plasma ship with some kind of a being in it.
Yeah, what in this video wouldn't play, but there's other ones that do play. And this thing is spectacular. It's bright, it's beautiful. And this is over Pilbara in Western Australia. There's multiple videos here of it. Pretty spectacular. I don't know if I believe that this is just a meteor. It kind of doesn't feel like it to me.
No, it doesn't to me either. It's such a beautiful color. Definitely worth checking out.
So this was seen all over Western Australia. Absolutely stunning ball of green energy and light. And yeah, it doesn't feel like it to me at all. So there's a bunch of videos for you guys to check it out. And everybody was kind of saying, wow.
They were in awe.
Yeah, exactly. And astronomers spot potentially habitable planet and star closely resembling Earth and Sun. This keeps popping up. We talked about this maybe about 5 or 6 days ago. And so, they're slowly leaking. There's slow disclosure. Of course, we had the Navy saying, yeah, those things were real and they weren't ours, although they could have been the secret space programs, Space Force, as Space Force has probably been around forever. So, does that look like a bone or not? That really looks like a bone. Well, NASA says it's just a result of wind and water erosion on Mars.
And we all believe NASA.
Never a straight answer, Werner von Braun, as we know. Well, many of you probably know, so many of the Nazi scientists were taken into high positions and, actually ended up leading organizations like NASA. Never a straight answer. They're all about cover up and not about releasing true info. If they were to, ever give us the straight answer, I think we would be shocked. But yeah, is this just natural erosion or is this something else? There's been so many of these, and this does really look like kind of almost either Abraham Lincoln's profile. You see, it's like a beard, a clear nose, an eye, ear over here, hair, and like one of those Pope hats. So, politicians' face on Mars? What is really up with Mars? And then we get 36 alien civilizations could be communicating in our galaxy, new research claims, and that's the minimum, too. That was at the lowest end. And, likely the number would be way higher, according to this research. And again, it's just that slow trickle of information coming out that we are not alone. We've never been alone. There's things like this. There's really cool footprints that are all over the place, especially in Southeast Asia. Hanuman, there's many footprints that are attributed to the demigod Hanuman, who was kind of like I guess some would say he was more like a Bigfoot or a monkey god human. Interesting, but there's also handprints. As you see, I put my hand in Judicala Rock over in western North Carolina. That was supposed to be an actual handprint, more fingers than we have, of the giant Judicala who ruled that area and literally was the law for not only other giants, but Native Americans, and also the nature spirits as well. And the natives will talk about this there.
Which is really, really cool. If you can find an area like that, I think everyone should go visit.
Yeah, and I did a video from the Devil's Courthouse, and boy, you could feel the energy there. It really feels portalish. It's amazing. I felt kind of, the legends of people that would fall asleep on a fairy mound and then find themselves in a different reality.
Yes, I've heard of those.
Yeah, well, that's how that area feels. When you're walking through the woods there, you just want to just kind of just sit down, meditate, and just bask in the energy because it's so beautiful and there's so much wonderful natural elemental energy there. And it just feels like you're stepping into a different reality.
Why do you think it got the name Devil's Courthouse?
Because that's where Judicala would actually go ahead and, of course, the Western traditional Judeo-Christian mind has had a tendency to label anything, unusual as a devil or a demon. So that's why, but because the giant, that's where he actually held court.
Oh my!
And it's a huge overlook that you could actually see 3 different states from.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. As we look, there are all these anomalous footprints, like 290 million year old footprint where it's not supposed to be. Humanoid beings, not necessarily Homo sapiens sapiens, but humanoid beings have been on this planet a long time. a long time. And, perhaps Atlantis was really a conglomeration of different extraterrestrial species living there together.
It really feels like they were. It does. I don't feel anything that's, there's just so many different energies I feel when I think of that.
And we hear things like, from Corey Goode and David Wilcock, as well as others, again, Stephen Greer, and the list goes on and on, Phil Schneider, so many people that were in secret military programs, etc., coming out and talking about the fact that there's, a lot of times we hear 22 different alien species that are having experiments, ongoing plans, ongoing projects here underway at work on Earth. And if there were really all these different alien species that had their own individual agendas, then it would make sense why we have so many wars, because perhaps their projects, us, as well as others, other things, other, creatures, other animals, birds, plants, whatever it is that they're creating here, perhaps, this is part of why we have a little bit of the warfare going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of different energies, going either with each other or against each other that we're unaware of.
Very interesting stuff for sure. And here we have 40 sites where you can trade and barter for what you need. And trading and bartering is one way we could get back out of the system of control that we're in, and start to support each other in better ways, and start to cut out the middlemen that make so much money on everybody else in this world. Just think about that. Just think about things like if you buy something, from somebody that's actually making something in this world, you're cutting out so many middlemen, because typically, it's just, one after another middleman. I don't know how else to put it, in a not such a derogatory way. It's just this way the system is set up, and the way the bankers have gained control over all of us, because they collect the taxes, they lend out loans, and they just control the whole system. So as we could set up alternative systems, we could perhaps get out of this system of control, because it's through the monetary system that we are controlled. So we have Barter Bay, and honestly, I haven't heard of hardly any of these. Barter Bay, Barter Bucks Bank, and I know a lot of people are into cryptocurrency as well. And I really have my doubts about that, because for one, I think that CMEs, EMPs are coming, and grid is going to be going down. I think we're going to be going back to the old ways, not necessarily, even farther ahead into the control system. Barterboo, never heard of that either. Barter Quest, BizX, and then we have Bookmooch, Couch Surfing. That's a great name. Of course, Craigslist, everybody knows. Facebook groups for barter and trade. Something called Free Cycle. Game Trading Zone, GoSwap, Home Exchange, Intervac Home Exchange, Listia. Sell your old stuff, get new stuff you love. Love Home Swap. Swap your home. Match Trade. Paperback swap. I mean, I've heard of people, trading. A lot of times people will trade like an RV for motorcycles, toys, things like that. Play-in swap, Rehash, Shared Earth, Simbi. So Shared Earth, connecting landowners with gardeners and farmers. That's cool, because I've run into that where people have land, but physically they're not in the greatest shape. And then there's people that are strong, healthy, and young, and they just don't have any resources. So, hey, here you go. We're going to look into this one, I think, a little bit more, as well as some others. Simbi, symbiotic economy. And again, that's swaps for services. Okay, I have a backache. I need a massage. Okay, well, Hey, I need to put in a raised bed garden, and you know how to do that. That type of thing. Sit for Sit, Skills Barter, Swap.com, Swap CD, Swap a CD, Swap a DVD, Swap Me Sports, Swappiness, Swap Right, Swap Style.
That's so cute. Switch Planet, Thread Up. Okay, Trade First, Trade Stuff, Trusted House Sitters.
And, I know people that have done this and done it in other countries. The Czech Republic, Yugoslavia, Thailand, and also in, right now, still there's one friend that's down in Costa Rica, and she's been in the same big house situation. She lives in like a little guest house on a property where the owner only comes there like once a year and owns a mansion, so it's kind of cool because she's been there like 17 years and she doesn't pay rent. She has no rent. She has no electric or utilities because she just watches the place. He trusts her. She lives totally free. All she has to do is just pay for her food and getting around. A pretty good situation. I mean, those type of situations are really out there. Vented, Wana and Kome babysitting swap app, Zimride, and Zwaggle.
Or is it Zwaggle?
Maybe it's Swaggle. So anyway, there's ways of getting around things, and I'm gonna look deeper into some of these because it sounds really cool. We have a bunch of new Patreons. Thank you guys so much for your support. You've been awesome keeping us going, and also support on Ko-Fi as well. We couldn't do it without you, so we want to thank
Vic, Timothy, Stephen, and Lily B. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for your support as always. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.